In 1907, an American schoolteacher from Virginia stood in the streets of Tehran with a rifle, defending a constitution he had helped write for a country that was not his own. He was killed by Cossack cavalry loyal to a Shah, who wanted his democracy dead. His name was Howard Baskerville. He was 24 years old, and almost nobody outside Iran has ever heard of him. The Persian Constitutional Revolution of 1905 to 1911 is one of the most extraordinary and least taught chapters in the history of democracy, at a time when most of the non-Western world was either under colonial rule or sliding toward it. A coalition of Iranian merchants, clerics, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens rose up against the absolute power of the Qajar dynasty and demanded something that most of their contemporaries considered a European invention: a constitution, a parliament, and the rule of law. They won for a while. To understand what they were fighting for, you have to understand what they were fighting against. The Qajar dynasty had ruled Iran since 1796 and had spent most of that time selling the country piece by piece to foreign powers in exchange for personal loans and luxury goods. By 1905, Russia controlled the northern sphere of influence. Britain controlled the southern sphere. The Shah borrowed money from both to fund his extravagant court and then conceded economic rights, trade monopolies, and territorial influence to repay debts he had no intention of managing responsibly. The Iranian people were paying the price of a monarchy that treated the country as its personal income stream, while foreign powers carved up its sovereignty from outside. The revolution began not with a single dramatic event, but with a collective awakening that had been building for years in the bazaars, the mosques, and the newly established newspapers, that were slowly creating a public sphere where ideas could circulate. Intellectuals reading Montesquieu. These groups had almost nothing else in common. Their alliance was one of the most unlikely and powerful coalitions. In 1905, the movement crystallized around a specific incident: the public bastinado flogging of several merchants. The flogging triggered protests that triggered a sit-in in a mosque. Then a larger sit-in at the British legation where 10,000 people gathered demanding reform. Mozaffar ad-Din Shah, weak, ill, and genuinely frightened, capitulated. In August 1906, he signed the constitutional decree that established Iran's first parliament, the Majlis. Iran had a constitution before China, before most of Latin America, and before much of southern Europe. It was an independent chapter of it, generated from within Iranian society by Iranians. This is where Howard Baskerville enters the story. Baskerville had arrived in Tabriz in 1907 as a teacher at the American Memorial School, a Presbyterian mission school in the city. He was 22 years old, a Princeton graduate from South Dakota, assigned to teach English and history. He was not sent to Iran to fight for democracy. He was sent to teach grammar to Iranian children. But Tabriz in 1907 was not a city where you could teach grammar and ignore what was happening outside. The new Shah, Muhammad Ali Shah, had reversed his predecessor's concessions, dissolved the Majlis. Tabriz became the center of armed resistance. The city was besieged by royalist forces. The constitutional defenders inside the city, the Fada'i, were running out of food, weapons, and people. Baskerville watched all of this. He read, he talked to his students and their families. And then he made a decision that no one had asked him to make and no one could have anticipated. He resigned from the mission school to avoid embarrassing the American diplomatic position. He organized a small company of his students, young Iranian men willing to fight for their constitution. He wrote to his family that he saw no distinction between the principles America claimed to believe in. On April 19, 1909, Baskerville led his student company in an attempt to break through the siege lines. He was shot by a sniper and died within hours. He was 24 years old. Tabriz held. The constitutional movement survived the siege. Within months, a force marched on Tehran, deposed Muhammad Ali Shah, and restored the parliament. The constitution was reinstated. It did not last. The 1911 Russian ultimatum effectively strangled the constitutional government. The Anglo-Russian Convention of 1907 had already divided Iran into spheres of influence. The constitutional period survived in fragments until the 1979 revolution reorganized Iranian politics. But what happened between 1905 and 1911 was real. a democratic revolution generated entirely from within, killed not by its own failures but by the deliberate military intervention of Russia. Howard Baskerville is buried in Tabriz. There is a monument to him there. Iranian schoolchildren are taught his name. In the country he came from, almost nobody knows he existed.